Good evening and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima departs Abuja to represent President Bola Tinubu at two major international summits in Rome, Italy and St. Petersburg, Russia. In a statement by the Director of Information, Office of the Vice President, Olushola Abiola, the Vice President Shettima will join other global leaders for the first Stock-Taking Moment Summit themed Transforming Food Systems for People, Planet and Prosperity, holding from 24th to 26th of July 2023. During the summit, the Vice President would chair a high-level session tagged Innovative Financing for Food System Transformation, the Case of Nigeria, and a side event on scaling up multi-stakeholders collaboration and investment in the implementation of food systems transformation pathways in Nigeria. In the same vein, Vice President Shettima would then proceed from Rome to St. Petersburg in Russia to represent the President at the Russia-Africa Summit, scheduled for Wednesday 26th to Saturday 29th of July 2023. While in Russia, the Vice President will join other political and business leaders at the second Russia-Africa Summit and Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum, focused on strategizing to enhance relations between Russia and the African continent, among other benefits. The Vice President will also participate in bilateral meetings with representatives of relevant Russian senior government officials and business leaders to discuss relations between Russia and Nigeria. He will be accompanied by senior government officials from ministries, departments and agencies. The Vice President is expected back in the country at the end of the week. Away from the Food System Summit, Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Sidi Mohammed Tunis, has asked the sub-regional parliament to employ parliamentary diplomacy to resolve the myriad of challenges confronting the region. This was during the visit of the Speaker, East African Legislative Assembly, to the headquarters of the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. Charles Alpha reports.
ECOWAS takes parliamentary diplomacy very seriously, especially in troubled areas, and believes it is squarely the responsibility of the executive to find solutions to crises when they occur. Reason why the regional bloc is deploying parliamentary diplomacy in crisis areas to bring about peaceful settlement, including use of mediation, which is paramount. At separate visit to the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Toure, Deputy Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, citing the case of Guinea, Speaker ECOWAS recalled how the Parliament mediated before the parliamentary election in Guinea, which at the end brought lots of players together to discuss the issue. He said today, Guinea has a parliament which will be inaugurated before the end of this month.
In ECOWAS, we always ensure that we use parliamentary diplomacy to go into those areas and see what we can do to bring about peaceful settlements, including mediation.
The Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament, Tunis, said that it is the responsibility of lawmakers as representatives of the people to ensure that the executive is properly guided for the attainment of free movement of people and goods across Africa. Speaker Joseph Ntakirutimana also says that part of the reasons for the visit was to evolve mechanism for the two regional parliaments to collaborate more closely.
The artificial boundaries created have become impediments to the needed Pan-African cooperation, trade and growth for Africa's development. The commencement of the African Continental Free Trade Area is a step in the right direction.
Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And the ambassador of Nigeria to the Russian Federation, Abdullahi Shehu Yibaikwal, has concluded a 2-day official visit to the Voronezh region of Russia. The visit was aimed at strengthening bilateral relations, education, scientific and cultural cooperation between Nigeria and its host country. During his visit, the ambassador paid a courtesy call on the governor of the Voronezh region, Alexander Guves, where he acknowledged the bilateral cooperation between both countries. He also expressed appreciation to the governor for the support and opportunities given to Nigerians in the region, both in their studies and vocation after graduation. He informed the governor that Nigerians are law-abiding and urged him to continue to provide the government for their well-being in the region.
The Soviet Union used to give scholarships to Nigerian students to study, and some of them have been here for over 40 years. Some have become Russians and they have married Russians and they are citizens of Russia, while some have gone back and they are contributing meaningfully to our economic and political development.
He said envoy on the vast potential of the region and expressed the hope that Nigerian companies would take advantage to strengthen trade and investment. Lack of efficient and transparent mechanisms to support revenue administrations and public financial management have resulted to loss of billions every year to illicit financial flows. UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed stated this during a multi-stakeholders dialogue on implementation and commitment to financing development and energy in Africa. Adebola Broxton Sunday reports.
The absence of efficient administrations, United Nations says, lowers the trust of financial stakeholders and increases the risk of Sustainable Development Goal investments on the African continent. This is responsible for driving up the cost of debt servicing and limiting fiscal space for African countries.
The first report prepared...
UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed says despite the consensus that accompanied the adoption of the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, most of its areas of action have recorded limited achievements, a situation she said has impacted negatively on all means of implementation of the 2030 Agenda, including financing for development.
From the external perspective, internal factors are compounded by an unfair international financial architecture that still keeps African countries in a marginal position, making them more vulnerable to debt distress.
Amina Mohammed notes that challenges in the mobilization of resources limit the capacity of African countries to undertake massive investments needed in critical areas like access to energy.
The report highlights that almost 600 million people continue not to have access to sustainable energy in Africa.
Under Secretary General and Special Advisor on Africa, Christina Duarte, told the forum that non-implementation of the Addis Ababa Action Agenda has created a financial paradox in which African countries lose $500 to $600 billion every year.
Heightening inequalities across the continent and having spillovers that will eventually undermine Africa's peace and stability.
The global body, which described the situation as a gloomy picture, however, said there is good news as the solution to most of the challenges is within reach. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
In other news, the presidency has reacted to what it calls the laughable and bland statement by former Vice President and People's Democratic Party presidential candidate in the last election, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President's Special Duties, Communications and Strategy, Dele Alake, says it is obvious that having been thoroughly defeated by the All Progressives Congress and now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the former Vice President has not fully recovered from the shock of defeat, hence the current attempt to mischievously rake up another round of blunders that offend basic logic tragic. It would be recalled that in a statement, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar accused the current administration of the governing APC of plotting to undermine the judiciary without providing any shred of evidence. Alake pointed out that President Tinubu won a fair and credible election, adding that the February 25, 2023 presidential election that produced him is the most transparent election ever conducted in Nigeria since 1999. So, President Tinubu and the APC absolutely have no reason to undermine the judiciary in the hope of any favorable judgment. His lawyers and that of APC have represented very solid defense of the result of the election and assure the judiciary will impartially deliver its ruling on the basis of points of law and evidence before it, not based on presumptuous speculations and unfounded accusations. The statement urges Atiku Abubakar to be honorable enough as a statesman to allow the judiciary perform its sacred duty without harassment and self-help, attempting to discredit an important institution of states. Let's talk security. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Tarid Lagbaja, has assured the special troops deployed to Mangu local government area of Plateau State that they will stamp out every form of insecurity, bring peace and stability to troubled areas. He said this while launching a special operation Hakurin Damisa 4 in Mangu.
On assumption of office, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Tarid Lagbaja, in a bid to tackle the incessant attacks and unrest ravaging communities in Mangu local government area, deployed 300 soldiers to conduct special operations in the area. Launching the special operations Hakurin Damisa 4, literally translated as Operation Leopard's Tooth 4, the Chief of Army Staff charges the troops to be alive to their responsibility by ensuring that lasting peace is restored to the troubled communities, advising them to work by the rules of engagements of the Nigerian Army.
I ask for the cooperation of all stakeholders in Plateau with the troops. Give them information, trust them, respect them. They will respond. Within a short spell, you can see that the situation in Mangu has been brought under control.
At an interactive meeting with key stakeholders, including traditional rulers, leaders of various associations, Major General Lagbaja was emphatic on the need for the people to sheath their sword, forget the past, and resolve to live in peace with one another. He also warned that those in possession of small arms and light weapons must submit them, or else the military will deal decisively with such persons. The communities expressed optimism that the visit of the Chief of Army Staff will bring relief to them. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
Meanwhile, troops of the Nigerian Army and personnel of the Department of State Services in a clearance operation destroyed an enclave of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra and Eastern Security Network in Asaba, Delta State. A statement by Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu says troops stormed the enclave, overpowered the IPOP fighters and compelled them to abandon their hideout. While some of the suspects were eliminated, one of them was captured, 9 rifles and 1 single-barrel gun recovered, while one IPOP member that escaped with injuries was later apprehended with several arms recovered from him. The military enjoins the public to support security agencies with timely intelligence to enhance ongoing clearance operations. And it's time to join Hingino in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Hingino.
Hello, Lizzie. The 9th Brigade troops of the Nigerian Army have apprehended 2 suspects with large consignments of substances suspected to be marijuana in a reviewed surveillance and patrol activities along land borders in Ogun State. Commander 9th Brigade Nigerian Army, Ikeja, disclosed this while handing over the suspects to officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in Lagos. Musa Toliat completes the report.
Commander 9th Brigade Nigerian Army Ikeja Cantonment Brigadier General Adegoke Adetui said troops deployed at a checkpoint along the international route leading to one of the land borders intercepted a suspected international drug syndicate while trying to smuggle a truckload of substance suspected to be cannabis sativa on their way to Songwater in Enugu State.
On investigation and proper check, we realized that about 397 wraps of the items were actually concealed in the first compartment of the truck. And also it's a forum to send strong warning to criminal elements that may want to use the area of responsibility, that's 9th Brigade area of responsibility, to convey or to smuggle their illegal items into the country, to desist, because it's not going to be business as usual.
As part of intensified synergy among law enforcement agencies, the commander, 9th Brigade of the Nigerian Army, handed over 2 suspects apprehended with the illicit drugs to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
By the time we conduct the investigation, we get to the roots of the matter and carry out further operations based on this. We're also going to prosecute them.
The troops of the Nigerian Army had earlier in the month intercepted a truck heading for Anambra State with more than 20,000 cartridges of ammunition in Lagos. Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Still on security, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has always maintained the stance of improving policing from his first day in office. This he has been exhibiting in his activities as the #1 police officer in the country. To further solidify his dream of improved security in the country, he took his thanks to the House of God, where he also asked for guidance and wisdom as he leads the Nigeria Police Force. Correspondent who was at the RCCG Pavilion Parish tells us more. In words with action, the acting IGP recently said the Nigeria Police will establish a quick intervention squad to tackle the menace of crimes and criminality, among other initiatives of improving policing. Appreciating God for the task ahead, acting IGP Olukayode Egbetokun believes is his first step to victory.
I thank the Almighty God and I thank Him for giving me this opportunity. And I pray that God will give me the wisdom to make the best use of this opportunity.
These dance steps indeed depict gratitude to God for the elevation. Eulogies poured in for the celebrant from Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun.
He's an officer and a gentleman. IGP is a rare breed policeman.
Pastor Charles Pandey of RCCG Region 11, who took his text from Psalm 92 verse 1, reminded the worshippers of the need to always show appreciation to God.
Number one condition for access, if you want to be able to come to His gate and thank Him, and then He'll accept your thanksgiving, be sure that Jesus Christ knows you as His own.
Prayers for the Acting Inspector General of Police ended the Thanksgiving service, but for him and his team, work has just begun. We are done with our beat from Lagos at this time. Be reminded that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Fatima in our Makurdi Network Center has the next set of reports on Nationwide. But it's time to pay some bills. We'll be right back. Welcome and thanks for joining us in Makurdi. The Benue State government has debunked rumors about outbreak of anthrax in the state. Director of Veterinary Services, Benue State Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Dr. Edward Amali, describes the news as false and misleading. Simbiat Agbaji completes the report.
Saturday, July 22nd, there was pandemonium in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, following reports in some sections of the media of the outbreak of anthrax at George's Quarters area in Makurdi metropolis. Reacting, Director, Veterinary Services, Benue State Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Dr. Edward Amali, who refuted the rumor, assures the public that there is no cause for alarm.
Sometimes they may be useful in alerting you even before you know, even before your own people get to know. So, but what is important here is that they purported that there is an outbreak in Makurdi here. What we have seen yesterday doesn't look like an outbreak, and if maybe our own sense of judgment is wrong, we have sent samples to the NVRI in VOM, which is the traditional thing that we do in cases like this.
He said the state government has set in place machinery to checkmate the outbreak of the disease.
The government is also taking note in terms of vaccine procurement and vaccinations of especially cattle, sheep and goat in the state. So we are in the process of doing this so that we're able to prevent the disease coming in.
Anthrax is caused by a spore-forming bacterium called Bacillus anthracis, which affects both animals and humans. Symptoms range from skin ulcer with dark scab to difficulty in breathing. In Makurdi, Simbiat Agbaji, NTA News.
Chieftains and officials of the All Progressive Congress APC in Benue State have resolved to strengthen their support for Governor Hyacinth Alia to succeed in his efforts to deliver good governance. This was the unanimous decision reached at the end of an extraordinary stakeholders meeting of the party held at the Government House, Makurdi. Elias Itiaf has more.
The All Progressives Congress Extraordinary Stakeholders Meeting, which had in attendance party officials at the state, 23 local government areas and the 276 council wards, chieftains and other stakeholders, is to interface with the governor on salient and key issues affecting the party. State Chairman APC Austin Agada and other stakeholders who debunked speculations of existing rift within the party and its hierarchy say the meeting became necessary to clear the air, strengthen the party's collective unity and resolve to support the governor to redefine, restructure and reset the Benue agenda.
I want to seize this opportunity to say that whatsoever in the short time, rightly or wrongly, that must have gone wrong in any way.
Governor Hyacinth Alia, in his address to party men and women, revealed that the state has saved a sum of 1.2 billion naira from its forensic screening exercise from ghost workers and schools in the state.
Many more things are being uncovered because it is government and there must be some continuity. But unfortunately, no room was left for continuity. With the ghost schools and the teachers, monthly, what was paid as 1.6 billion, it's going to be 800 million this time. In the last 8 years, a number of civil servants died, but they were still found on the payroll. So many people retired, and by the books they say they were dead. But they are still alive. Their pensions were denied them.
The governor, who warned against hate speech and inflammatory statements, said he remains indebted to the party and the state in general to turn around its fortunes. In Makurdi, Elias Itiaf, NTA News.
And that's it from Makurdi. Nationwide continues with Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you, Fatima. Now to mining. The federal government says it will ensure sanity in the mining sector as more investors continue to indicate interest in exploring the potential in the country. Director General, Nigerian Mining Cadastre, Obadiah Simon Nkom, said this when he visited Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Ali Tijani reports.
Nasarawa, the home of solid minerals, has continued to attract investors willing to mine the solid minerals in the state, with the latest being investors in the lithium exploration. However, there have been challenges of illegal mining, environmental degradation, and insecurity due to activities around the mining sites. These, among others, are issues of concern to the state, and urgent attention is required to address the challenges for the state to reap maximum benefits of the natural endowment. Governor Sule says attention must be given to environmental impact assessment as a major criterion for the issuance of license for the Nigerian mining cadastral.
So I'm happy when you say you are here to make sure we work together. We are here to look at all this, and this is for the betterment of your own organization, for the ministry, for Nigeria, and indeed for Nasarawa State and the communities where we are. And that is just my dream.
Director General of the Nigerian Mining Cadastral, Obadiah Simon Income, commends effort by the Nasarawa State government in harnessing the solid minerals, assuring the state government that federal government will ensure investors comply with all the mining laws in the country.
Mining must and should be done in a regulated way. It must, at the end of the day, be done to be able to now bring benefits, not just to the communities, but to the entire state and to the country at large.
Mr. Income says Nigerian Mining Cadastral will continue to ensure activities of miners in the state are properly regulated for the benefit of the state, its people, and the entire country. In Lafia, Aliu Tijani, NTA News.
A bit on health, the federal government has flagged off free risk-based nationwide vaccination against anthrax. Musa Babali reports that the initiative is to stop the spread of the zoonotic disease that was detected in Suleja, Niger State.
This is the farm where the first case of anthrax was detected. The farm is located in Gejere community of Suleja Emirate in Niger State.
It is believed that the anthrax, the infection, got into the farm through the cellular arms that were introduced newly into the farm. Based on the history we obtained there, we found out that 2 days prior to the onset of the outbreak, the animal that was brought from outside actually died.
As a safeguard, the farm was quarantined and the animals vaccinated.
We exposed people that are working in this index farm on prophylaxis. They've been on treatment, and they have been monitored.
Under the disease control guidelines, all animal farms located within 12-kilometer radius of the affected farm must be vaccinated. And here are veterinary officers from Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Niger States administering the anthrax vaccine as part of campaign against the deadly zoonotic disease.
For now, we are targeting all the animals. So the federal government has graciously released 50,000 doses of the anthrax vaccine to kick off this exercise.
So we'll have a surveillance system on a high alert now. The moment we hear similar signs coming from different areas of the state, we'll mobilize our team, we'll go take samples and at the same time vaccinate. Because you don't vaccinate sick animals, you vaccinate animals that are apparently healthy.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, has also provided logistics support to the federal government towards eradicating anthrax in Nigeria. From Tafa local government area of Niger State, Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Niger Center for Disease Control says there is no trace of animal-to-human transmission of anthrax disease in the country. This is coming as the traditional institution advocates involvement in the awareness campaign to curb the spread of the zoonotic diseases. Once again, Mosali reports.
Livestock breeders alongside residents of Suleja were in a state of panic when a case of anthrax was detected in the area. In spite of the fact that measures were taken to restrict the spread of the disease, The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says there is no trace of animal transmission of the disease.
Actually, we don't have any case of transmission yet. However, it's always paramount for us to start preparing in case we do have that.
However, campaign on the symptoms of the disease and how to manage it have been intensified on health platforms. The team was at the palace of the Emir of Suleja, Malam Muhammad Awal Ibrahim.
Any animal that falls sick or falls dead, we want to get an alert.
Because if diagnosis is not, done, it's a big risk to the livestock industry and also to the human population, especially with regard to this particular disease.
The Emir raised concerns over how monitoring the movement of animals and their health conditions were neglected at the primary level.
So we're going to do the best we can to ensure immediate enlightenment of our communities and appeal to them to give maximum cooperation by ensuring all the Fulani herdsmen, as well as gentlemen herdsmen, are also most cooperative in terms of the onerous task on you in addition to this vaccination.
The advocacy visit was also extended to livestock farms in Suleja and Tafa local government area of the state. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
To climate matters, 5-year countdown signifying the need for urgent action to achieve the less than 1.5 degrees Celsius of the world temperature before 2030 target has begun. As climate activists joined the rest of the world to mark this year's World Climate Emergency Day in Abuja, Charles Alpha brings us details.
It is now either man's lifeline or the deadline. At the end of this countdown, will the earth finally be saved and man celebrate in victory, or his environment consumed for failing to reduce the 1.5 degrees Celsius target before year 2030? Only time will tell. The World Climate Emergency Day celebration is aimed at creating awareness on the damages of climate to man and his environment, and what must be done by governments and the people to beat the clock.
We want reaction. And when we say reaction, we mean that we must begin the just transition to renewable energy. We must invest in climate-smart agriculture. We must give women the opportunity to be part of the solution.
Flooding is happening, drought is happening, everything is happening to indicate that climate change is real, and this is the time to act.
The federal government have put in place a lot of intervention to bring down the emission.
Climate activists want not just talk, but action that places demands on the Paris Agreement and promises to aid developing countries that are the most impacted. The federal government, through the Ministry of Environment, was presented the climate clock to serve as a reminder as it intensifies its mitigation plans. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
This is Nationwide on NTA. Let's head to Enugu, where Chinenye is standing by with some reports. Chinenye, let's hear from you.
So much, Elizabeth. Welcome to Enugu. The Nigerian Army will not relent in its efforts in combating all internal and external aggressions in the country. General Officer Commanding 82 Division Nigerian Army, Major General Hassan Taiwo Dada, stated this during his familiarization visit to Nkwagu Military Cantonment, Abakaliki. Ijoma Wante reports.
The familiarization visit by the GOC 82 Division Nigerian Army gave opportunity to meet the troop, sister security agencies, and a brief on the security situation in Ebonyi State. Addressing the soldiers, the GOC lauded them for the achievement recorded so far in silencing the threats from regional agitators.
We have a lot of work at hand. We are all aware of the threats the whole of Southeast Please do not rest on your oars. The troops on this cantonment have been doing well, and I want to believe it because you have a capable commanding officers. They have been able to give you that necessary guidance. Please continue to up your game. You must always be at alert. Put your ears on the ground and be very, very professional in all that you do.
The maiden visit also created opportunity for the inauguration of the conference room of 24 Support Engineer Regiments, remodeled by the commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Sunday Atomode. In Abakaliki, Ijoma Pitawante, NTA News.
While Nigerians are grappling with the present economic challenges, the need for constant medical checks have been re-echoed. This awareness is coming from medical experts who believe that going for regular medical checks is a panacea to mitigate mental illnesses. Chimaroke Ugu reports.
Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we feel, think, and act towards people. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood through adolescence to adulthood. It is, however, important to note that a person's mental health can change over time, depending on factors like when the demand placed on a person exceeds their resources and coping abilities.
When people get overwhelmed by issues, you see them go down. That is still part of mental health. Even normal worries is part of mental health. For instance, the economic situation can be bad on you and you begin to feel uncomfortable. It is mental health. So there is need for Nigerians to understand the need to visit both psychologists, psychiatrists, and a good number of other trained professionals.
Medical experts, while advocating the need and importance of regular medical checks, hinted depression as a causative factor that increases the risk for many types of physical health problems, particularly long-lasting conditions like diabetes, heart diseases, and stroke.
When you don't stand to handle your emotions, it will tear down on you, which will result into depression. So my advice is that it's important that we, time to time, we go to hospitals to check ourselves.
These experts maintain that while mental health is always there and may be positive or negative, mental illness affects a person's ability to function over a long period of time. In Enugu, Chimaroke Ugu, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Enugu. Do not forget that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at www.nta.ng/live and on all our social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. We'll take another break here. Nationwide, we continue with Ladide in Maiduguri. Thereafter, do stay.
Welcome to Maiduguri. Good to have you join us. In its 40 years of existence, the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital has witnessed a quantum leap in health service provision through the availability infrastructure, technologically advanced medical equipment, and professional manpower. These were some of the issues raised at a public lecture marking the health institution's 40th anniversary that attract hundreds of professors and specialists from different fields of medicine nationwide. Milka Damalam reports.
The special anniversary public lecture had in attendance the cream of the medical profession led by former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, former and serving chief medical directors of universities, teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, health specialists and administrators nationwide, family members of late former President Shehu Shagari, who commissioned the hospital in 1983, and members of the academic community from across the globe also graced the occasion. Guest speaker and foremost professor of immunology, Idris Muhammad, gave an an overview of the hospital's development, outlining series of achievements recorded over the years, making the hospital largest in the Northeast region and acknowledged as a center of excellence by the international community. Former NLC President Comrade Ayuba Waba, who spoke extensively on healthcare services in Nigeria, noted that healthcare system crippled by the insecurity, poor funding and other factors needs to bounce back. The Chief Medical Director, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Professor Ahmed Ahidju, paid glowing tribute to past and serving professionals for their commitment even in the face of insurgency. The hospital never stopped for a day.
Great lecturers like Professor Idris Muhammad gave a very superb lecture, and also Ayuba Waba, who is medical personnel, and he also talked a lot on the way forward in our healthcare.
Some of the personalities who graced the program have high hopes that the tertiary health institution is on the path of progress with the efforts of the CMD and Board of Management.
I'm sure the management have taken note judiciously of all the things that they have done so that they will take care of the challenges that they have presented.
This is not the only project my old man has commissioned. So that's why I was so pleased to come when they told me they were celebrating 40 years of the anniversary.
The University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital had in its 40 years of existence trained thousands of medical personnel who provided springboard for the establishment of other health centers and research facilities across the region. In Maiduguri, Milka Damalam, NTA News.
Climate change and unpredictable weather causing shortfall in rainfall experience in some parts of Gombe State is generating concern as Muslims converge on Eid ground and some mosques in the metropolis to seek divine intervention. Emir of Gombe, Dr. Abubakar Shehu Abubakar III, led his people in performing the prayer for abundant rains at Gombe Eid ground. Abba Abubakar Yakubu has more.
Salatul Istisqa is the prayer performed in the time of drought or shortage of rainfall by Muslims, in which members of the community will converge on the outskirts of the town, wearing simple clothes and rags, sitting on the ground, supplicating to Allah. Emir of Gombe was among the gathering, who sat in humility, seeking the blessings of Allah and abundant rainfall. The prayer for rain was led by Imam Ali Hammari, who drew the attention of the congregation to repent from their sins and live righteous life to attract Allah's blessings and mercy. Also, at the Jibus Shango Idrisa Mosque, Imam Tahir Muhammad led the supplication seeking for the rain after the 2 rakat prayer. Residents of Gombe are concerned about the shortage of the rain, which is affecting not only their well-being, but also their farmlands. In Gombe, Abba Abubakar Yakubu, NTA News.
That's our contribution from the Home of Peace. Nationwide continues with Elizabeth in Abuja. Do stay with us. Don't go away.
Thank you, Fatima. Eladidi. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested a notorious drug kingpin, Charles Wagbale, involved in trafficking grade A drugs to Europe. The suspect was apprehended while preparing 93 pellets of cocaine meant for distribution in Italy. During the operation, NDLE also recovered a significant amount of opioids and skunk, destroyed cannabis farms, and intercepted a shipment of Colorado from Canada. Several suspects were also arrested in various states across Nigeria. The education sector will receive adequate attention under the renewed hope agenda, as President Bola Tinubu's desire is for every Nigerian to have access to sound quality education, which is the first step to producing efficient manpower to protect socio-economic development and national cohesion. The Director General, Confederation of APC Support Group, said this at a maiden edition of lecture series organized by Course 4 PhD students of Institute of Governance and Development Studies, Nasarawa State University. Yusuf Umar reports.
Nigeria's education sector faces a series of challenges ranging from infrastructure decay and incessant strike by lecturers at the tertiary level. With the renewed hope agenda by Tinubu's administration, Kailani Muhammad says adequate funding will be provided to education with the aim of repositioning the sector.
We are assuring them that the 25% that will be earmarked for education in this country will go a long way to stop the restiveness in the universities, all these incessant strikes.
With the team fostering sustainable peace for Nigeria's development imperative for multi-stakeholders approach, speakers emphasized the need for dialogue as a panacea towards sustainable peace in the country.
They have studied the theoretical concepts about peace, about conflict resolution. And what they are doing today is that they are recognizing Nigerians who have contributed and who are supporting peace building and who are contributing to unity and development.
The process of peace is not just always kinetic, that is not just by using guns and things like that. It involves a lot of dialogue, a lot of negotiations, and a lot of discussions.
Some notable Nigerians were awarded for their contribution to peace building, including former head of state General Abdulsalami Abubakar, former Minister of Women Affairs Pauline Talin, Director General, Confederation of APC Support Group Kailani Muhammad, among other recipients. In Abuja, Yusuf Omar, NTA News.
As a consuming country rather than a manufacturing one, Nigerian students have been urged to study courses in manufacturing to change the narrative and contribute positively to nation building. Deborah Balabubu, who covered the Royalty Academy Abuja 2023 graduating set, tells us more.
Happen to you and it will happen to me too, but you must allow the pain to hit you. You must allow the guilt to eat at you, and you must allow yourself to hit rock bottom, because I tell you this, when you are at the rock bottom, the only place to go is up.
I want to be of use to my country. I want to help my country because I want to be an ambassador.
I hope to see all my hard work paying off, and I hope to just see a better future.
It was a joyous moment with sense of fulfillment for these graduates and their parents at the completion of the required years of secondary school studies. Royal Academy Abuja, which started with a couple of students in 2011, has grown to a large population, graduating 31 students. Executive Director, Royal Academy Abuja, Aisha Abubakar Jijiwa, said the school had continued to top scores in most external examinations, which has given it an edge among its contemporaries.
Once you are a Royalty Academy, you are here to unleash your potential, and it's our job to make sure you do that.
Nigeria is a consuming country. We are not a manufacturing country. And with all these professional courses, law, medicine, etc., we won't get that far. So I encourage you to, when you come to making your choices, concentrate also on such areas where you can come out and not just be a job seeker, but a job giver.
High point of the celebration was award presentation to deserving students in Abuja. Deborah Balagubo, NTA.
And next is sports update.
We begin with football as the Grace FC of Enugu on Saturday became the first team to book their spot in the final of the 5th edition of the Prosperity Cup after defeating Dream Boys Academy of Udi 2-0. Goals from striker Don Pedro Samuel and midfielder Priye Victor were what the boys needed in the first semi-final played in the Samson Siasia Sport Complex Enugu. The Grace FC will now await the winner between Agbere FC of Shagbama and Crusader Feeders to know their opponent for the finals. Having gone through their Group A campaign of the ongoing FIFA Women's World Cup with a goalless draw against Canada, the Super Falcons of Nigeria have now turned their attention to their second game against co-host Australia on Thursday. Sport enthusiasts have urged the 19th African champions to go all out for the maximum 3 points. The volleyball, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSADC) has emerged winners of the first phase of the Nigerian Volleyball Premier League, which ended Saturday at the indoor hall of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. The NSADC won all 8 matches out of the available 8 in both male and female categories to emerge winners going into the second phase of the league. And finally, all eyes have now shifted to Edo State as the National Division 1 Handball League throws off. This is coming just a week after the state played host to the Nigerian Premier Handball League. The league, which will end Saturday, July the 29th, will see the top 2 teams in the men and women categories promoted to the Nigeria Handball Top Flight. With sports update, Oche Ngbedi, NTA News.
In sports update with Oche ends nationwide today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Good evening.